The year was 1990 and the federal government was in Colombia to clean house. By the time Operation Lost Trust was over, 27 people, a majority of whom were state representatives, a judge, and a number of lobbyists all went down, all for vote selling.
The thing that shocked me the most is how cheap they were and how little money they would take to sell their vote.
In 1990, John Barton was head of the criminal division for the United States Attorney General's Office, District of South Carolina. He and Sherry Lydon helped prosecute Lost Trust.
It wasn't just $2,000 on that day for that vote. It was free golf clubs, free rounds of golf, free suits.
At the time, Lydon was just 4 years out of law school.
I think prosecutors are public servants first before they are advocates or attorneys.
Together, Lydon and Barton worked alongside the leadership of then U.S. Attorney Bart Daniel. Some of the prosecution may look familiar. Daniel most recently represented ex-House Speaker Bobby Harrell in his conviction of using campaign funds for personal use. And Lydon is now representing the state's longest-serving sheriff, James Metz, in his federal bribery case. Lydon and Barton both say the State House 24 years ago was a different era. Some say taking money and gifts was status quo.
Back then, you could pay a legislator any amount of money at any time, in any form, cash or credit card or check, and they could use it for whatever they wanted to. We had legislators who would literally, when they got to Columbia on Tuesday, they would find a lobbyist, get the lobbyist's credit card, and return it to the lobbyist on Thursday.
Little did lawmakers know an undercover investigation was underway.
We didn't even want the support staff to know what was going on. I had a locked file cabinet in my office that people were always asking me about.
Lawmakers also didn't know a lobbyist caught on video handing them money agreed to help in the investigation after he himself got caught up on drug charges. The lobbyist was a man by the name of Ron Cobb, seen here in ABC Columbia file footage handing lawmakers money.
We would get a call that Ron Cobb had set up a meeting and we would rush down to the off-site location and watch it.
But there was a moment when Operation Lost Trust almost didn't happen, when something went wrong with an undercover FBI agent.
He was meeting with some of the legislators and his jacket fell open during one of the meetings and the legislator saw a red light on his inside coat pocket.
The agent was confronted the next day. He explained it by saying it was a key fob.
Overnight, an FBI agent here in Columbia, Bob Johnson, a very good agent, took a key fob, which you press and the red light comes on. He wired it so the red light was on all the time.
In July of 1990, Operation Lost Trust went covert to overt.
They sent out agents all over the state to interview the legislators at the same time,
asking the same questions.
Vaguely, they said they were having this investigation and that I was not the target, so to speak, but they needed to see my books and records and stuff.
The investigation would be all over the news that night.
The report came down that the feds were starting to look at and seize financial disclosure records.
Skylar Croft, who still reports for the Post and Courier, covered Lost Trust.
A number of people that you would think that were Boy Scouts that turned out to have a double life that they led when they were in Columbia.
While some lawmakers pleaded, only 5 went to trial. During the trials, Croft and 3 other reporters were jailed for not revealing a source. Representative Bud Long of Myrtle Beach.
I think just for reinforcement value, the federal prosecutors wanted to put us on the stand to say what Bud had told us about the money that he had taken.
The reporters were jailed for 2 days during the day before the judge decided not to hold them any longer because they weren't giving up their source. The feds would go on to win 26 cases, losing only 1. Tomorrow, we'll introduce you to the man who beat Lost Trust, the man who defended him, and the man who wrote a book about it all.